Good morning, headmaster, staff, pupils and guests. Firstly, a heartfelt thank you, headmaster, for the kind invitation to speak today. 23 years ago. Wow, when I say it like that, it sounds like quite an age. Perhaps I should say just 23 years ago. I sat in the Great Hall, where the Year 7s of the Brown House ordinarily sit, in my time led by the wonderful Sean Holman, and took part in the Remembrance Day service as we are doing here today. It was in that moment, at the age of 11, that I knew I wanted to follow a career in the military. Some years later, in 2008, just weeks after finishing the final exams at university, I found myself on an aeroplane heading to Helmand Province, Afghanistan, to take part in what was codenamed Operation Herrick 9. This was the start of a 7-year adventure as an artilleryman and Royal Engineer that allowed me to serve alongside, as well as command and lead, some of the finest men I have ever had the fortune of meeting. By the time the adventure came to a conclusion in 2014, I had qualified as a demolition safety officer, a military diver, a skydiver and a paragliding pilot. I had travelled to many countries and completed 3 tours of duty in Afghanistan. But today, I'm not here to talk about my career, but have been asked to talk to you in a few brief words about what Remembrance Day means to me. Well, in the last 6,262,630 minutes, I have had the fortune to celebrate 12 fantastic Christmases. I've enjoyed 12 brilliant birthdays with huge numbers of friends and family. I married my wonderful wife, witnessed the birth of my 2 children. I've built a house, and I've even managed to learn to speak a new language, something I'm sure Derek Burns, my former French teacher, would never believe. I have lived, laughed and loved in huge amounts. Crack, crack, whiz, crack, contact, medic! It was Monday the 15th of December 2008, and as a member of F Troop 79 Kirkey Commando Battery, 29 Commando Royal Artillery, I was positioned in Forward Operating Base Armadillo in the Goresh Valley of Helmand Province, Afghanistan. We had just come under sporadic but sustained enemy fire, and within moments our troop commander, a mountain of a man who cared for all and led like a true commando, had been fatally wounded. Lieutenant Aaron Lewis, just like all of those on the crosses on the headmaster's lawn, sacrificed his life in order for us to live ours. His and their families have had to celebrate Christmases, birthdays, births and marriages without them. These opportunities to live, laugh and love were sacrificed for their country and for those dearest to them. What does Remembrance Day mean to me? It is a time to remember the ultimate sacrifice so many have made, but importantly to never forget to live life to the absolute fullest in honour of what they have allowed us. A lot can happen in just a few minutes. Please take these 2 minutes to remember the fallen and to celebrate what they have given us. For our freedom of movement, our freedom of speech, to those who come after this gospel I preach, a word in the house, a stroke of the pen, cannot wipe out our debt to these green beret men. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Perhaps, by Vera Brittain. Perhaps someday the sun will shine again, and I shall see that still the skies are blue, and feel once more I do not live in vain, although bereft of you. Perhaps the golden meadows at my feet will make the sunny hours of spring seem gay, and I shall find the white May blossoms sweet, though you have passed away. Perhaps the summer woods will shimmer bright, and crimson roses once again be fair, and autumn harvest fields a rich delight, although you are not there. Perhaps someday I shall not shrink in pain to see the passing of the dying year, and listen to the Christmas songs again, although you cannot hear. But though kind time may many joys renew, there is one greatest joy I shall not know again, because my heart, for loss of you, was broken long ago.
Good morning. Just a few reflections from me as we conclude this Remembrance service 102 years after the end of the First World War. In our Remembrance service each year, we remember all of those who have made huge sacrifices for all of us, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice. The 157 OBs who died during the First World War, and the dozens of others who've given their lives or made unimaginable sacrifice still. Their families who continue to make sacrifices, and of course the countless people around the world who've made sacrifices for us too. Each year I ask you to really think about what this means. It can often feel very distant. It can often feel very long ago. You can feel quite disconnected from it. You can see the names of people in the plaque in the Great Hall. You can see the rows of crosses on the headmaster's lawn. And it can often feel like dozens of young men who died decades ago, and the personal connection just doesn't sometimes feel like it's there. So as each year, I urge you to think carefully about why we're remembering all these people and their sacrifices. We're remembering the fact that they've made these sacrifices in the name of the very freedoms that we enjoy today, in the name of the freedoms that define us and our way of life in this country. All sorts of freedoms that too often we probably take for granted. The freedom to live in a place where we can elect our leaders freely rather than being under tyranny or dictatorship or oppression. The freedom to believe in whichever God you want to, follow whichever religion you want to, or none, if that be your choice. The freedom to love who you want, the freedom to marry who you want, and the freedom to not marry somebody you don't want to. and all the freedoms that come with living in an open and fair society as we do now. So if ever you are feeling a little bit disconnected from it all and wondering why it is we have such a big day of remembrance each year, I hope you understand that as well as the sacrifices that so many people have made, it's about remembering the freedoms that we take for granted that they fought for. These very hard-won freedoms are things we should never take for granted, and that's why we spend so much time at this time of year remembering those who've made those sacrifices. I think it's best summed up, if I may read you directly from some beautiful words oft quoted from John Maxwell Edmonds. So I'm going to finish on those words. He said, "When you go home, tell them of us and say, for their tomorrow we gave our today."